Prof.Udenta joins us now. He's the founding national secretary of the Alliance for Democracy. Well, he's not a politician, but he's always found very close to political circles. We have to thank you for coming in this morning. Good morning to you. Happy Good Friday, shall we say?
Yes. Happy to be with you ladies, because it's been quite a while.
Indeed, but clearly a number of people are not happy this morning, and top amongst them will be the leadership of the African Democratic Congress. At least they were leaders up until, or maybe they are still leaders, maybe just not in the eyes of INEC, up until yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago. Up until 2 days ago, they were leaders in the eyes of INEC, and they were delisted or removed from the portal of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And they are fuming. They are very upset about it, and they are asking or calling for the resignation of the INEC chairman, saying they have lost confidence in him. I'm sure you have been following the development. I'm wondering perhaps how it's all going to end. What do you make of this?
Well, I've been following these developments acutely.
Acutely?
Yes, very close, intent. I mean, with intentionality. It's not as if I said flippant, passing,
Indeed.
In observation. I've been watching this unfolding. Because I've been having some, frankly speaking, robust conversations with you guys for years now. Indeed. On this particular subject matter. Now it is ADC, before it was PDP.
PDP,
so you can now see,
and they're still very much on the front burner.
You can see the sequence of events, from PDP, a legacy party founded in 1998, crippled from inside and outside. Now ADC, where some of them ran to find a new home. Coalition of forces for the progressives in the country, now on the racks. I said in this studio, particularly this studio, maybe to you, Mokwe, that Professor Amupitan was procured and curated deliberately to perform the role he's performing by the president who brought him there. It's not like possibly some omission.
There isn't a flood yet, but we understand the roads are absolutely impassable. So we call on not just the Minister of Works, but we also drawing the attention of the president, whom we understand is in Lagos right now. We cannot have a situation where our citizens are now constricted to just traveling by air. Clearly, airlines don't get everywhere, and not every state has an airport. Even when they do, there are some places that only make sense for you to go by road. So we are hoping that those who are concerned in making things better at this point, whether it is to reconstruct the roads, whether it is to ease the traffic and bring some law and order on that road, they are aware and they do the needful at this particular point in time. It is untenable that citizens spend 3 days for a journey that should only take about 5 hours. We'll take a break at this point. We'll be back shortly to take a look at the matter popping up within the ADC. They are saying they have lost confidence in the leadership of the new INEC chairman. Well, maybe he's not so new anymore, Joash Amupitan, but he certainly has his work cut out for it, for him, especially when you look at the fact that they have now chosen to de-recognize the leadership of the ADC led by Mr. David Mark and Mr. Rauf Aregbesola. That is certainly causing some furore. We'll be taking a look at that when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
INEC does not have the power to determine for any political party who its leaders should be. That decision was taken on July 29th, 2025, not on September 9th. With its press conference yesterday, INEC has invented a status quo that never existed, because there was no time that the African Democratic Congress, ADC, did not have a fully constituted leadership. What INEC has done is to create a situation that by its own curious logic leaves the ADC without leadership. This certainly cannot be the status quo that the Court of Appeal directed should be preserved. It is an INEC invention that is not known to any Nigerian law. There is only one conclusion that Nigerians can draw from the 1st of April 2026 action taken by INEC. The electoral umpire has taken sides. It can no longer be trusted. As a matter of fact, INEC has acted in contempt of the Court of Appeal and has therefore acted unlawfully. My fellow Democrats, we demand the immediate resignation or sack of the INEC chairman. Professor Amupitan and all his national commissioners. We no longer have confidence in them. We are convinced that they are incapable of conducting any credible election.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Professor Udenta joins us now. He's the founding national secretary of the Alliance for Democracy. Well, he's not a politician, but he's always found very close to political circles. We have to thank you for coming in this morning. Good morning to you. Happy Good Friday, shall we say?
Yeah, yes, happy to be with you ladies because it's been quite a while.
Indeed, but clearly a number of people are not happy this morning, and top amongst them will be the leadership of the African Democratic Congress. At least they were leaders up until, or maybe they're still leaders, maybe just not in the eyes of INEC up until yesterday or the day before, 2 days ago. Up until 2 days ago, they were leaders in the eyes of INEC, and they were delisted or removed from the portal of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And they are fuming. They are very upset about it, and they are asking or calling for the resignation of the INEC chairman, saying they have lost confidence in him. I'm sure you have been following the development. I'm wondering perhaps how it's all going to end. What do you make of this?
Well, I've been following these developments acutely.
Acutely?
Yeah, it's very close, intent. I mean, with intentionality. It's not as if I said flippant, passing,
Indeed.
in observation. I've been watching this unfolding. Because I've been having some, frankly speaking, robust conversations with you guys for years now.
Indeed.
On this particular subject matter. Now it is ADC, before it was PDP.
PDP,
So you can now see,
and they're still very much on the front burner.
You can
as
see
well.
the sequence of events, from PDP, a legacy party founded 1998, crippled from inside and outside. Now ADC, where some of them ran to find a new home. Coalition of forces for the progressives in the country, now on the racks. I said in this studio, particularly in this studio, maybe to you, Mokwe, that Professor Amupitan was procured and curated deliberately to perform the role he's performing by the president who brought him there. It's not like possibly some omission, some sense of we don't know what we are doing. But the first time we have an electoral act tailored to suit the specific purposes of a party and an individual. And then you have an INEC guideline determined to shut down plural democratic space and multiple party conversations in our kind of heterogeneous society. So heterogeneity of this nation is what has produced diversity of political opinions and viewpoints. That is why I find different parties represent different interests. But I find this particular INEC very scientific in its effort. Of late, a few days ago, INEC shifted the calendar a little bit more. If not, by second today, the registration process will have ended. So if you're ADC and this has happened to you, you can't even leave to another party. Then they shifted it to 10th May. If you recall, 2022, and it's not different from the landscape we have in now.
Yeah, but didn't they do that because of the political party's request?
I'm saying that
yes.
they were compared to IPAC chairman before he went to that meeting, said we're not going to participate in this process. It's not designed to include us, all the parties. It's designed for APC alone. So I quickly called a meeting of all the stakeholders and they hammered home this. And chairman was bemused. He was confronted with the reality. That's why they have to shift it. If you recall 2022, presidential primaries of APC, if I'm not mistaken, was held on 7th August. Before they have the subnational in primaries up to October, September, October. Still leaving you 2-3 months of robust campaigning. Now by 30th May, everything is over. 8 months. What will INEC be doing for 8 months? From end of May to general, if not to squeeze the parties now. That's why this court order on the INEC, on the ADC, and INEC interpretation of the court decision. What INEC should have done, I'm not a lawyer, but I've listened to legal opinions. If appeal court rendered a judgment, and then you're confused about that judgment, or you feel somehow about that judgment, because other parties feel somehow, ADC feels, it's status quo ante, we are going to continue. And they say, possibly you're not going to continue. What do? You go back to the court. The court is not dead. You have your opinion and said, we're confused of INEC, our party built David Mark and so on. We don't think they should be there. Clarify what you have ruled. They've done so with Africa, Supreme Court. 4 times or so, they have simply issued clarifications on their previous judgments. So the P Court should have done so for INEC, not INEC becoming the court of law. Prof.Udenta made this point. Many other brilliant lawyers have made this point. INEC may be right at the end of the day, but you have gone to the court to say, clarify this for us. The court has simply said, this is what we mean, this is our intent. But INEC now went and issued an opinion for the court, and is implementing its own understanding of the viewpoint of the court, or the decision of the court. That is interference in the judicial process.
This is just making a case. In this particular situation, INEC has not ruled or has not given or acted in favor of any of the parties that are currently in court.
It has. Basically, because INEC has a timetable, it will not shift. Congresses and conventions of ADC will be put on hold, and the calendar will not be altered because of them. If something will take place in the next 1 week and there is vacuum in leadership, ADC will not participate. INEC has simply ruled on a matter that they shouldn't rule on. We should have gone back to the court to say, this is what we think about this. The court will then now slam the hammer on whoever they want to slam the hammer on. But INEC has slammed the hammer to say, ADC for now, you're not a political party in essence, without a head. You're a party without a head. That means all the processes unfolding, you will not be part of it.
Can we be
That
fair?
is consequential.
Can we be fair? Can we be fair? Okay, so you see, the thing is, let's look at the ADC itself. Can you honestly, Prof.Udenta, say that the ADC had its house in order?
Let me put it this way, it depends on what they call having a house in order.
Did they have clear-cut leadership? Were they able to stand as a party and say, okay, we do not have things that can affect the legitimacy of the leadership of this party?
First and foremost, I will not speak for ADC. I'm not a member. I will speak like an informed Nigerian, like I did talk about PDP. PDP had its house in order, but the party is basically no more. ADC had its party in order. If you have your house in order here, and there's somebody, an interloper, goes to a court already predetermined to make a judgment, whether you have your house in order, it doesn't matter. What the court rules, we have to respect the rule of law in court. That means, I'm coming. That means if ADC has his house in order to say, we entered the party, we had resolutions, the old order was passed out away, a new order has come, and we have documents to show this. Somebody can be asked, you are part of the old order, say no to this, even when you have said yes before. You have resigned, say no, I didn't resign. Go to court. If you go to court, that's the language now, go to court. If you go to court, somebody can go to that court and say, this is what we want you to do. And if you do that, like they did with PDP. So if there's a sequence of fractionalization of SDP, they didn't have the house in order. Labour, they have the house in order. PDP, only APC has his house in order. All the other parties, legacy parties, all the newer parties, robust parties, inclusive parties, all do not have the house in order. I hear the PRP had a convention. So find another convention.
But you remember, you remember when Mr. Kachiku was saying this thing from the, and it's not just Mr. Kachiku. They have a lawmaker from the ADC, that represents Kogi.
Abejide.
Yes, Leke Abejide.
Yeah.
They had been saying this thing for a long time, and it felt like no one was listening to what they were saying.
My point is very simple.
Now it has come.
No, my point is very
fruition.
simple one. If you have no major crisis, it can be manufactured. The PDP crisis, for example, followed it sequentially from start to where it is today now. No matter however you conceive of it. Take, for example, you have a convention, a data convention of the PDP. How do you get to that convention? You have a caretaker committee. Caretaker committee, how did you produce it? Senator Samanyangu wrote to INEC. People seem to forget this in the shuffle. Wrote to INEC, asking for something. INEC granted it to him. Secretary of a party, I was a secretary of a party. I'm a co-signatory. The chairman is a signatory like in a bank. And B, secretary cannot write to INEC. He can only co-sign with the chairman. But INEC accepted a letter from the secretary of the party alone. People are not talking about it. It's that letter from Anyangu that produced the caretaker. Because obviously when we came to of FCT, he has no powers on his own as a minister of the Federal Republic, working for Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president, to produce any faction. They used Anyanwu's secretary when Damagu was universally accepted as the chairman. On the basis of that letter, Kidego was procured. What did they do? They went to court. And the court, like this one in ADC, said, don't do the Badr Convention. They arrested that one. They did their own with a court permission. You have a BOT that produced by an illegal Kidega committee and a convention enthroned and accepted by INEC. So the same thing with PDP, with ADC, with all the parties. That's when leaders of PDP got exhausted and said, for 2 years, 3 years, we fought not just for the survival of the party, but the survival of multi-party democracy. So the conversation we'll be holding is, why are the witches crying at night and babies dying in the morning? Why are the parties suddenly collapsing?
So who's responsible for it? Because in your view, Prof, who's responsible for
my view? I've said it here clearly. The ruling party APC, with all the, I talked about flatulence. Remember here, about overgorging. I talked about obesity. They swallowed up the 30-something governors, swallowed almost the National Assembly. But they have abandoned governance. That's why the country is bleeding. And when you have abandoned governance, you can't go to electoral in a field and say, I will win decisive even with your bloated frame. You have to do something, paralyze the opposition, almost like slowly walk into a one-party democracy with minor parties, producing minor candidates. We all Nigerians, we know what the real political conversation is all about. Yeah. We know those who see in the field, okay, there's a context. When we take down PDP, with the lies of Bala Mohammed, Sheyi Makinde still fighting gallantly. Then they take down ADC with P2B, Wangwaso, Atiku, everybody else. Wouldn't you live in the field? So, normatively, you may have what you call multi-party democracy. Inform, you may have multi-party conversation. In reality, you have short the democratic space. This is part of state capture, and I said it here, the INEC, this one. Remember, every INEC chairman, without exception, suffers some debilitating loss of credibility with elections. Morris, Mahmoud, Jega, is after the election, they say, oh, he didn't do well. A year before election, this INEC chairman has lost credibility, not just because of ADC. So do you know what's going to happen? When you have not even had election, and people are telling you, get out of your place. You have been procured and curated to serve at a specific interest. That election could be meaningless. Nobody will accept it. So what you do is you have a veneer of respectability and impartiality. And again, the courts are hereby warning this from the studio. No law should be blind to the overarching environmental, political, economic, and social necessities. You don't close your eyes and say, we do not know that these are the forces in a party. That's why most of the time, even the Supreme Court, ruling on the local autonomy, undermine the Constitution. But it did it for a purpose. The Constitution is very clear. You have to have the joint account of the state and local government. He said, we have tried that, it's there, but it's not working. Let us do something novel. That novelness you find now in the political terrain is that PDP should have been preserved. You should have been left alone, dissenting with ADC now, dissenting with SDP, dissenting with Labour. This is not going to favor anybody.
It's interesting.
Down the line.
So essentially what you're saying, sir, is that there could be room for legality for what is currently happening, but that should be overridden in the overall interest of democracy.
Absolutely, that is how it is done globally, even in the US. That's why sometimes they have what they call activist judges and strict constitutionalists, though they call the textualists. And those who say, no, the law shouldn't be as it was in 1776 or thereabout, or 1789. American Constitution is a living document. Over 200 years, things have changed. Why these framers may not have intended this now? The reality is that AI, etc., have come in to reshape this conversation. So same thing with the law now.
So what should INEC have said?
INEC should have simply left the matter as the appeal court left it. Status quo ante. David Mark is already there. The commission is there, already there with their system.
But Nafi will be upset.
He's not there because the case is still working its way in the courts. He may get a judgment somewhere down the line. And INEC should be aware truly that it's not enough to come and say there's a faction. INEC has a robust legal department and legal contractor, SANS, who have studied the document. Did there be something there? Does he have his factional secretary? Does he have a composite ESCO? Does he have congresses done? Does he have a membership? Nothing. Just one individual.
Well, let's just take a look.
So you look at that and say, this is not the route to go because I'm coming. This is not even helpful for INEC and the president and his team.